Hello again, I'm Greg Levine, and this is the party line for June 3rd, 2011. And perhaps you missed it, maybe we're distracted by some other junk this week, but over in Japan, the government of Prime Minister Nato Kan barely survived a no-confidence vote by vowing to step aside. He vowed to step aside as soon as he got control of the nuclear crisis at the damaged Fukushima reactors. Yeah, good luck surviving that long. As we've also found out this week, the water that's being poured on top of the reactors and has been leaking into the basements and surrounding trenches and tunnels will probably overflow all of that by Monday, further contaminating the soil around the plant and pouring again into the sea. Meanwhile, in Germany, Chancellor Angela Merkel has reacted to this crisis by declaring that Germany will be completely off of nuclear power by 2022. She will shut down all of the nation's reactors, leaving 8 offline right now and removing the others in another 11 years, actually. And to do this, has she pledged to, say, go back to the incredibly dirty brown coal, which was the staple of German energy, the fuel that turned the black forest into the gray and balding forest? No, actually, not at all. Not at all. She has instead vowed to cut the nation's energy consumption by 10%, electricity consumption by 10% by 2020. We call that conservation here in the United States. And also to double the nation's investment in alternative energy, most specifically solar and wind energy. A remarkable reversal, honestly. Only 9 months ago, the Christian Democrat government of Angela Merkel came out with this big plan to renew nuclear licenses and to forge forward with nuclear power. But now, completely other way. And I want to talk about the whys of that in a minute. But first, the what. The what is that by doing this, the German government has managed to not only get a handle on its looming nuclear problem, it has managed to spur its economy. You see, when she declared the end to nuclear power, yes, there was some griping from the nuclear industry, but what happened to the German markets? Well, actually, they went up. The share, propelled by the companies that invest in solar and alternative power. In fact, some of them went up double digits, 10, 13% growth in the share values of some of those companies. But across the board, the alternative energy sector in Germany just took off like a rocket this week. And you see, this is the amazing thing that happened that could have happened here had we made a similar commitment. Something I thought, as I've mentioned before, we were getting with the Obama government would be this kind of investment in the next generation of energy, of green, clean, renewable energy that was going to provide the economic engine to pull us out of this horrible recession, to reclaim what had already been a lost almost decade. Because we missed the last big technological revolution. But instead, because of budget negotiations, we've actually cut back on our investment in green energy, and we've cut back on our ability to monitor what is being done both to the economy and to the environment by our current dirty, ugly energy system. So you have that, but the why is really interesting because, you see, 9 months ago, like I said, the government of Angela Merkel was very pro-nuke, and then, of course, you did have the disaster in Japan, and right after that, you had a local election, which Angela Merkel's party, the Christian Democrats, did poorly, but in successive weeks with other elections, it's her coalition partner, the Free Democrats, who did even worse. And in order for Angela Merkel to retain control in the next national election, she's going to need a new partner because the Free Democrats look doomed. Big embracers of nuclear power, by the way. And the most obvious coalition partner in the next cycle would be the Greens, who have, of course, a long-standing policy of opposing German nuclear power and have pushed for an even slightly quicker disinvolvement from nuclear power in Germany. And it is because of this coalition government, see, that the change has been so sweeping and so radical and so rapid. And it's, of course, something we don't have here. Now, there's no guarantee that Merkel gets the Greens as partners, but one of the biggest sticking points in prior negotiations was the government's nuclear power. So she's just cleared that out of the way. And the Greens, meanwhile, right now are contending that it's not fast enough, and well, they should. That's a good negotiating position. But you see what's happening here, right? And you see because it's a multi-party democracy with a different electoral process. And this has actually been pointed out elsewhere by John Walker, for instance, that multi-party democracies are inherently more democratic than our two-party system, and that representational forms of voting, proportional forms of voting, are usually better at assessing the public's will than the first-past-the-post system that we have here in the United States. So what you get is this amazing contrast where in the United States, with our two-party system and our rather broken electoral process, you have the so-called left side of the political spectrum coming out after that Japanese nuclear disaster and pledging that our commitment to nuclear energy is strong. I mean, literally, said that. The President said it twice the first week after the earthquake. Our commitment to nuclear energy is strong. Whereas in Germany, you have the right side of the political spectrum taking a look at the disaster in Japan and reversing its policy. So you have Obama, who campaigned on investment in the green energy sector, coming out after a nuclear disaster to reassure the nuclear industry, whereas in Germany you have a government that was firmly committed to nuclear power coming out after the same disaster and totally reversing itself, and not only just making a blanket statement, but taking steps and laying out a plan to get off nuclear energy and cut domestic energy consumption. It is just shocking, and perhaps maybe the best argument yet for reforming our electoral process. Certainly a very good argument for taking the steps we need to now to get ourselves off of nuclear and to try and reinvigorate our energy economy, or our economy with our energy sector, which I thought was possible. But that's probably not probable. And that's the party line. I'll see you next week. Thanks.